Here comes the group. This is great. Hi, everyone. Sarah Mills from my relaunch here, along with Petra Beck and along with Nick Kent and David Jensen from Brazen. Today, we are going to talk with you about how you chat in a booth at the conference. And remember, our networking day is on Thursday, May 16th. And so you will have the opportunity to enter a lot of booths and chat with our sponsor representatives. So David is going to actually just walk you through a live event, and then we can answer any questions. We will give you tips and tricks, or more like David will give you tips and tricks. He is the expert, so we're so excited to have him here. And a couple of things I will probably talk about after his training, so you have some context, because, you know, David trains for Brazen. And so at our conference, we just might have some adjustments, or, you know, there might be some good tricks that we could help you with in ensuring you get to talk with a conference sponsor. So on that, I am going to hand it over to David, and I think he has everything he needs. David, hopefully you can share your screen. Again, Petra and I will be in the booth after the presentation in this booth, and we're happy to answer any questions you have. So go ahead, David.
All right, awesome. Yeah, well, it's great to meet everybody, and welcome to today's training. Today's training, it's going to be very simple. It's going to be very straightforward. I'm going to give you a lot of tips and best practices and give you a lot of information, but don't let it overwhelm you, right? It is a very simple platform. If you've ever been on any kind of social media or anything like that before, it's the same process. It's really simple. You'll just have to get logged into the event. You'll fill out your registration form. And there's a couple of things that we're going to show you today that will help this event become a little bit more successful for you. So as we go through it, we do have a very large group. So do me a favor. At the bottom of your screen, there is a chat feature. Just go ahead and throw your questions right in there. My partner in crime, Nick, he's going to kind of help me kind of monitor that chat. Sarah, your team can also kind of keep an eye on that as well. And we'll take a couple pauses to answer some of those questions and go from there. So bear with me here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And the first thing I'm going to show you is just how to get registered for the event to start. And we'll go in there and show you how to set up your profile. And then we'll actually show you how you can go in and have chats with these representatives as well. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so I have an incognito window open right now. This is going to be what will happen when you click the link. So you'll be sent a link to register for this event. As I press enter, what it'll do is it's going to take you straight to what we call a landing page. It's going to give you some basic information on the event. It'll be your responsibility to come in here, and you're going to click that register button. As we click register, it's going to take you to your login page. Majority of you here, this will be your first time ever attending an event like this. So what you're going to want to do is put in your first name, your last name, your email address, and then you're going to create a password. So you're welcome to put in any kind of password that you're going to remember. I highly encourage you to put a password in that you're going to remember, because on event day, you're actually going to need to put in this username and password to log into the event. So please make a password that you're going to remember. Once you do so, you put in your first name, last name, email address, and a password, you're going to receive an email almost instantly. So give it, at least a minute or so for it to process. But you're going to receive an email just asking you to verify your email address. What this does is it just verifies that you're a real person. Once you verify that email address, it's going to take you to the registration form. So what I'm going to do is simply click log in, and I'm going to log in our demo candidate here. Continue. Yes, I accept. All right, put in our password. You'll notice at the top of your screen, we have Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google. If you have a LinkedIn account or a Facebook account or anything like that, you are welcome to use those single sign-on features instead of creating your own username and password. So it's up to you. As long as you know your username and password, that's what you'll need. From there, it takes you straight into your event where you are going to complete your event registration form. You'll see that it's kind of lengthy. You've got lots of questions that are in here. So we'll kind of go through this relatively quickly, but what you want to do is just make sure all of your information is in here. So make sure you put in your first name, your last name. I highly encourage you to upload a profile picture as well. Think about this when you're uploading this registration, right? All of our representatives, recruiters from these top-notch organizations, they're going to see this registration information. So I encourage you to make sure it's a professional headshot, something halfway decent. It just is gives a better look for yourself. You know, if you're at a party with your friends, it's probably not the picture that you're going to want to put in there. So just make sure you're adding a profile picture. Add your location. This will be crucial, so that way these organizations know where you're located. I also encourage you to upload a resume. You'll see our file types that we accept are listed below. PDF document or any kind of Word document or anything like that is perfectly fine. So let me go ahead and we're going to select a file. From here, you can just drag and drop from your desktop, or you can browse, you know, using your desktop here. So we're going to upload our Michael Jordan resume, and then we're going to click upload. Perfect. I will give you a quick tip. I encourage you to use your computer while you're doing this. However, if you're using an iPad or a cell phone while you're registering for this event, you'll actually have the ability to take a picture of your resume as well. I encourage you to use a PDF document. It just looks better on your end, but you do have the ability to take a picture of a paper resume if that's your only option. Go ahead and add your LinkedIn profile. That way representatives can connect with you. And then you can come in and you're going to get asked a bunch of questions. So I'm just going to come in here and just select some stuff. So I'll pretend that I used to work in healthcare. I would like to relaunch into advertising though. Let's see, it'll ask you in what function was most of your prior experience. We'll say healthcare. And I'll go through, and I want to spare you a little bit of time, but you'll come through and make sure you're taking the time to answer all of these questions. So you'll come through, you'll list each one, highest level of education. That'll be important, so make sure you add that in there. You have more than one degree, you can also add that. You can add the universities. So we're just going to say Brazen University. Do you want to work in a full-time capacity? Are you willing to relocate? Do you want a hybrid role? Or are you only looking for remote? You can list your identity. You can say if you're a veteran. Then if you've talked to any of the expert coaches, if you have any questions, you can add that in there as well. So once you fill out your whole profile, you'll simply hit submit. All right, we are all done. We just filled out our full profile, then we'll hit enter. You're probably going to be registering for this event in advance. So once you've completed your full registration, you now have access to the lobby. Inside here, you'll be able to go from booth to booth to booth and kind of get an idea of who's going to be at this event. If you are in here before the event, you can hop in any of these booths. So let's go into Deloitte's booth here. We can take a look at all of their information. The only thing that you will not see before the event is this big green chat button on the top right-hand corner. You will not see this chat button until your event goes live. You won't be able to talk to anybody to the event, but you'll at least be able to come in here and take a look at a bunch of information. On this left-hand side, you're going to see lobby, history, registration, profile, edit password, and log out. This little menu bar on the left-hand side is going to be useful to you. I just like to point out this little hamburger icon at the top. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to navigate. So that hamburger icon, it just opens and closes a side panel. So it'll make your life a little bit easier. You have the ability to come in here and you can update your registration. So maybe we've registered, but then I went home and made some updates to my resume. You'll be able to come in here and remove the resume that you have and then upload a new resume. So if you want to make any kind of updates to your profile, you will be able to do so before your event starts. You've also got your profile where you just want to make sure that your name and everything else is correct. So I'm going to change this real quick. So this way it's not confusing a little bit later. Make sure you're setting your time zone as well. This is going to be important because this way, when you start to get reminders about, hey, the event's in 24 hours, the times that are listed on that reminder email make sense to you. We don't want you to have to do the math and figure out when the event's going to be. So make sure you're selecting your appropriate time zone. All right. I'm going to take a brief pause right there. I just want to see if there are any questions in terms of registering for the event and kind of checking out who's going to be there before the event ever begins.
So we have a question from Anne, and this was in regards to the registration that she completed previously. I want to highlight that if the registration questions are the same from the fall or previous event, they will populate again for the registration and the answers that you completed for this registration form. So if you submitted a resume, that resume will populate again for your spring registration, but you can obviously update that as needed. Sonia asked the question, can we go and check this page before the event day? Regarding that registration form, most certainly you can go back and update that registration form as needed.
And I'm going to just answer a question because I'm seeing questions come in about our employers. Yes, employers have access to this information now. They can download your resume now if you upload it, so you can wait until closer to the event when you feel comfortable about your resume. But they do have access. Now, employers, it's important to note, they don't get your length of career break. We do not share that with them. We do not share gender with them. We do not share ethnicity with them. So there are some things on the registration form that are kept from employers. And how many people are we expecting at the conference? There will be wait times in these booths, but I'm sure David will give you some good tips on how to navigate and how to have the best successful outcome. So I will hand it back to you, David.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all some really great questions to go into the next point. So a few things. You definitely need to fill out that registration form, right? Because that's going to get you registered for the event. To Sarah's point, these employers will have access to your registration, including your resume. So as soon as you upload it, they're going to have access to that. So of course, you'll want to make sure that your resume is as updated as possible. Your registration form is as accurate as possible. What these employers will be able to do, they will actually get to be able to see everybody who's registered for the event. And if they come across any, a few of the candidates here and they're like, man, that's an awesome background. They are looking for exactly what I'm hiring for. That employer can actually reach out to you before the event starts and schedule a time to chat with you during that particular event. Don't be offended if you don't get that, right? This is another training that we will have later on with your employers and actually show them how to do that. Some employers opt to use this feature. Some employers don't, and they just simply will let you go from booth to booth to have your conversations. So I do want to point out that you may receive an email from an employer inviting you to schedule a time to chat with them. Basically, what will happen is it'll be clear as day. You'll get an email. It'll come from that employer that says, hey, I saw that you're attending this upcoming event. I would love to chat with you on event day. Inside that email, there's a button at the bottom that you'll need to click that says schedule a chat. All you do is you click that button. It'll take you to that employer's schedule. So maybe they're only here for the first half of the event or anything like that. All you're going to do is select what time works best for you. And then that's what time you'll chat with that candidate during the event. I will come back and actually demonstrate this and show this to you here in a couple minutes, but just wanted to let you know that you may receive an email inviting you to have a scheduled chat with that representative. Again, we'll come back to that, but assuming that you've kind of got your profile all set up, what I highly encourage you to do is come in here and go to booth to booth to booth and start to learn about these organizations. Now, we're going to talk to these employers and make sure that they're adding as much content as they can. they technically have up until the day before the event to add content into their booths. So if you log in a week before the event, well, you'll want to make sure you come back periodically to see if there's new updates to the booths. But go in here, take a look at these employers, figure out who they are, look at what kind of jobs do they have available, and learn as much as you can about this organization. Don't just stop at this employer's booth. For example, we've got Goldman Sachs here. You can hop into their booth, take a look at all of their information. However, you can see that they just don't quite have a ton of content in here yet. Enough for you to take a look at, but what you can do is simply Google their organization. Go to their careers website, right? Take that extra step to learn more about that employer before the event starts. The reason I tell you to do all of that is because on event day, what we want you to focus on is your top, 4 or 5 organizations. Realistically, you're probably not going to have time to come in here and have an hour-long conversation with every single employer that's here. So if you do your prep work in advance, you can say, Bank of America, man, that is an awesome company. That is definitely somebody I need to talk to. Put that down on your list. So this way, when you log in on event day, you know that these are my top 4 employers. These are the ones I want to talk to, and it'll save you a lot of time. So do that prep work in advance. So how does that conversation work? You are going to receive a few emails before the event starts. You're going to get an email 24 hours before your event, 2 hours before your event, and then you'll get another email once your event goes live. Those emails are just reminding you about the event. So that way it's pretty much impossible for you to forget the event. But inside that email, it's going to say login. And then it'll go right back to that first login page we had started today's call with. You'll simply log in, and then you'll come right back here into the event. So let's say Bank of America is one of the booths that we know we want to have a conversation with during the event. All you have to do is come in here and simply hit enter. Now, of course, they'll have tons of information and content in here for you to read. Your responsibility will be to come to that top right-hand corner. And you want to hit that green chat button. Once you do, you'll notice that it puts you in line and you're waiting to chat. Now, there might be quite a few candidates who are coming to this booth, and they also want to have chats with Bank of America. So the way this works, really no different than an in-person career fair. You just walk up to that table and have a conversation. But if somebody's already having that conversation, you kind of wait your turn in line. So that's how it works here. I can see I'm waiting to chat, I'm in line, and I'm ready to chat with a recruiter. I just simply have to wait until a recruiter becomes available. A couple things that you'll be able to do. Underneath that, you'll see the activity. You can see your spot in line. It'll kind of let you know how many people are ahead of you in line. Don't let this discourage you from having a conversation. Even if this says you're 10th in line, I still encourage you to come up here and put yourself in line to chat. From here, what I can do is click this arrow button. I'll go straight back to the lobby, and maybe now I'm going to go to Deloitte as well. When I come here, I'm also going to get in line to chat. So I can get in line in multiple booths. So now what will happen is you're kind of just sitting back and waiting until one of these recruiters become available to chat with. So you can get in line in multiple booths. Let's say a Bank of America recruiter becomes available. What'll happen is as soon as that recruiter becomes available, your screen is automatically going to update, and you're going to be brought straight into your chat room. Now you're straight into your chat. So you really don't have to do anything. Your responsibility is just to get in line in any booth that you want to have a conversation. So if you remember, I put myself in line for Bank of America and for Deloitte. Let's say I am now having a conversation with Bank of America, but Deloitte now becomes available. What'll happen is I'll be at first in line, and I'll kind of keep getting passed over because I'm already in a chat. And then once you're done with this chat, you'll now be next in line for Deloitte. So your process will kind of go a little bit quicker after that. So while I'm inside here, I'm going to talk with Mr. David Jensen, who's our recruiter. From here, I have a couple options. I've got my text box down here at the very bottom, where I can simply just say hello, right? So as a candidate, I'll say hello, and then Mr. David Jensen can come back and say hi. Your whole conversation here will start by typing back and forth. Really simple. It's really easy. Now, there are a few things that you can do to make your life even easier. You notice that when I came into this booth, I initiated the conversation by saying hello. Well, what you can do is on that top left-hand corner, you're going to see a thing called greetings. If I click edit, I now can type in my greetings. So I could say, hello. Let's say my name is, copy, and we'll paste. And it'll basically naturally input your first name. Or we could just say, hey, my name is Michael, right? So you're going to create your own natural greeting. This is where you can kind of put a little bit of your pitch about yourself. So that way, as soon as the employer is connected with you, they can kind of read about you and begin that conversation. Now, Sarah, did you want to speak on this a little bit as to how you recommend the candidates adding their greetings?
I do. Just so this group knows, we've gotten some feedback from our sponsors that don't put your elevator pitch in this greeting. So, and Carol will talk about the elevator pitch at the conference, but we just did a Facebook Live last week on how to create your elevator pitch. The conference sponsors want to see you've done the research about their booth. So making this broad, your greeting, just hello, my name is Michael, it's nice to meet you, would be a perfect greeting. Don't put in, my name is Michael, I'm looking for a data entry position in Nebraska. This is, your elevator pitch. Obviously, that's not an appropriate elevator pitch, but what I'm trying to tell you is don't put your elevator pitch in your greeting, because they really want to know that you've researched their company and you're coming to talk to them because they're Bank of America or they're Johnson & Johnson. So hopefully that answers some questions going forward about what the greeting should be.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
And I'll piggyback on that a little bit. This greeting needs to be as generic as possible. Because what will happen is you don't want this greeting to say, hi, my name is Michael, and I have always dreamed of working at Bank of America. You don't want it to say that, because this greeting was now going to be used every time you start a brand new conversation. So now if I go into Deloitte's booth, my greeting is going to say, I've always dreamed of working at Bank of America. Well, Deloitte's probably not going to like that a whole lot, right? So you want to keep this as generic as possible, so that way this greeting is usable in every single booth that you go into. So a very generic, hi, my name is Michael. I used to be an NBA player and I live in Chicago, right? Just a very quick 1-2 sentences is all you need at the most. Again, this is an optional task. You don't have to set up your greeting. You can naturally just type it down in the text box below. It's totally up to you. It's all a personal preference. I did see a couple questions in here that talks about using video or audio chat. So what'll happen is some employers will have the ability to call you on a video or an audio call. I mentioned this to you because what we don't want to happen is you're attending this career fair and you're actually on your cell phone and you're driving down the road. You don't want to do that, because now if an employer calls you on a video call, you're in a bad place to hop on a video call, right? So be in a place where it's nice and quiet. Make sure you have a solid internet connection. We're going to send you some tips and best practices on how you can test your internet to make sure it's solid. But we don't want you to hop on a video call with an employer and your video is all spotty and now they can't hear you and now you've got issues. So we're going to give you some tools that you'll be able to use to test this out before the event starts. You do not have the ability to call an employer on a video call. Only the employer has the ability to call you. I mentioned this because what will happen is you'll get a really nice big notification on the center of your screen. And let me see if I can demo this for you. Here we go. David has invited you to a video chat. As soon as you click accept, and I'm not going to do that because now my camera's being used in 6 places. We're going to get a lot of feedback. But you would click accept, and basically a big window will pop up on your screen, and it'll look kind of like FaceTime, where you're both on camera, and now you can have an audio and a video call with that particular employer. So I'm going to decline this so we don't have to worry about it. but you'll be able to have that video chat with that employer as well. So make sure you're dressing professional. Be mindful about your background, right? You know, is your room cleaned behind you or things like that? Definitely make sure you're setting yourself up to have the best chance to have a solid conversation with this employer. As we see on the right-hand side, I can see this employer's complete information. So I can see that this employer here was a 10-year veteran. So these are just things that I know about this employer now. So if I'm a veteran as well, I might want to talk about that. Those are ways to build a relationship and build a rapport with that particular employer. So make sure you're reviewing that information here. On the top right-hand corner, some employers might even link their LinkedIn profile to this. I encourage you to come here and click that LinkedIn button, and now you can connect with that employer on LinkedIn as well. So now you can continue that conversation and that relationship outside of the Brazen platform. So you'll have that option here as well, just in case you want to use that. I see this chat, it's kind of going pretty quick here. Nick, are there any questions in regards to chatting with an employer that I would need to answer?
Some questions regarding just opportunities and employment that the organizations are looking to hire for, and more so just wanted to kind of make the broader, sort of note that, before the event, you can go in, look at the booths, look at the opportunities that are there accordingly, and to the point, really prioritize the organizations that are right fit. And you can utilize, that time to kind of determine, where you want to spend your time at the event. And, to Sarah's point, making, those introductory sort of discussion points specific to them, maybe even before the event, you can kind of pre-type out a little bit of a blurb of why you want to work at that specific organization, or maybe why you're interested in that specific position. And, you can then copy and paste that into the chat accordingly. So just want to highlight that, before the event, you can go in and look at those open opportunities and really prioritize the organizations that are right fit, and, share why you think those organizations are right fit.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Always get straight to the point. In an event like this, you don't really want to spend the first couple of minutes talking about how great your weekend was and this and that, right? Get straight to the point. Talk about the jobs that you're interested in, but also ask what other jobs they may have available. If you're looking for a little bit more broad of an opportunity, let them tell you what roles they're interested in. They will be able to send you links. So if they have a specific job, ask them to send you a link to that job so you can click on the link and apply for that job right there on the spot. So that is an optional point within this conversation as well. We're going to come back to kind of what Nick was talking about a little bit, and we'll kind of discover some of these booths a little bit more. You will get a notification once you have 1 minute left. So that's kind of your cue to start ending that conversation and wrap it up. From here, if your conversation's done, my advice to you is let the employer end the conversation. You don't want to hang up on that employer, right? Let the employer end that conversation for you. So what that would look like is basically when the employer ends the chat, your screen will automatically update. And it's going to take you straight to that next page. This next page is where you're able to list some final thoughts, and you can list some notes for yourself as well. These final thoughts is a message to that recruiter. So whoever you are speaking with, you could just send them a quick thank you note that basically just says, hey, thanks for chatting with me. I really appreciate taking the time to chat with each other. There we go. Yep. Just make sure you're sending them a nice thank you note. Hey, I thought today was a really valuable conversation. I am super interested in that data analyst position. I plan to apply by end of the day today. I would love to reconnect after I apply, right? Just little nice messages like that will give you a much better opportunity to follow up with these candidates, or excuse me, with these recruiters. These recruiters will receive this message. They will know that you sent them a note, so that way they can follow up with you after the event is done. So add a nice quick message in here. Then at the bottom is you can kind of rate your chat. This is really only visible to you. The point behind this, right? Maybe you're talking to 4 or 5 people. This is kind of like a rating structure. So if we gave this employer 5 stars, This means, man, this was one of the best conversations I had today. This is definitely something that I want to pursue. Or maybe after a conversation, you realize, I don't know, this employer is not super great. It's not something that I want to do. Maybe we'll rate them as a 2-star. This rating structure is only going to be visible by you. So you don't have to worry about a recruiter seeing this and knowing that you gave them a 1-star. They're not going to be offended. They're not going to know. This is just for you. This way, if you talk to 10 people today, at the end of the event, you can come back and kind of look at your structure and say, okay, these were the 4 that I really liked. These are the ones I want to follow up with. And then, of course, you can add some additional notes in here just to validate the reason you gave them a 2-star, or maybe you gave them a 5-star. Again, these notes are only going to be visible by you. Again, just to help you remember, why did you like that employer? What follow-up action items do you have? If they said, hey, send me an updated resume, you might want to add that note in here so that way you remember, oh yeah, that's right, I got to send them an updated resume. So just something, again, for you to make sure that you're on your A game after the event. Once you are all done, you simply are just going to hit that finished button. By hitting finished, it takes you right back to the lobby. And now you can go to another booth and get back in line. If you remember, we already put ourselves in line for Deloitte. So once a Deloitte recruiter becomes available, I'll automatically be connected. So you've kind of got that going for you as well. One of the last things to show you, back over here on this left-hand side, you have your lobby, your history, or your registration, your profile. Come over here and check out your history. This will be available to you at any point during the event, and then for up to 18 months after the event is done. So maybe your event's on a Friday. Well, that Monday, you can come back in, click on your history, and now you can see all of the recruiters that you chatted with. So here's Mr. David Jensen, the recruiter I talked to. Oh, that's right, I gave him a 5-star. That means there's definitely somebody I need to follow up with. Inside here, I can review my notes. That way I remember some of my follow-up action items. You can see about the booth. So remember, that's right, David worked for Bank of America. You can even review that chat transcript. This way you can kind of remember everything that you guys actually talked about. What this does is it kind of allows you to go in, have a full-length conversation, and then you can kind of brain dump it. That way you go to the next conversation with an open mind, because all of that information is stored inside here. Their LinkedIn profiles, again, will be on that top right-hand corner. So maybe after the event, you go back and shoot everybody a LinkedIn message or something like that. So just really great ways just to review some of your past information. So again, something that Nick was talking about earlier, once you've registered for the event, before the event starts, really come in here and go from booth to booth to booth to look at all of the information that they have. So let's just go ahead and pick on somebody. We're going to pick on Johnson & Johnson here. You can come in here and you can read all of the information that they have. You can see that they're now recruiting for current and future roles. So these are things that you can use to your advantage. They even got links to their website. So you can go straight to their website from their booth. Inside here, you've just got more information. And they've got a nice video where you can learn about their organization as well. So there's lots of information in here to enough to arm you to be dangerous, right? But that doesn't mean only stay inside here. If I see Johnson & Johnson's a really interesting organization, I'm going to go ahead and go to their website, create some more notes, have more things to talk about. So when I hop into that chat, I am armed and ready to go to have that solid conversation.
David,
Sarah.
can you show, we've gotten a couple questions on where they can find the list of recruiters. So Johnson & Johnson hasn't added their recruiters yet to their booth. I'm trying to think who has. I think Deloitte has added their recruiters. Can you show everybody just where you can see the recruiter list?
I am actually in a demo, so you're not going to see any recruiters except for my demo event, but I can show you this. So inside our Bank of America booth here, when we click enter, you can see the list of recruiters that were assigned to this booth. Now, of course, this is just a demo, so these aren't the actual recruiters. But when you go into your actual event, you can see how many recruiters are going to be manning this booth throughout the day. So as our demo showed, we were connected with David Jensen, but there's also another guy here named Justin Good. I could also try to find Justin Good on LinkedIn or anything else outside of the event as well. So when I put myself in line to chat, I could be connected with either one of these recruiters. It just shows you who's kind of running that booth and operating that booth. Um,
Thank you. Right. This is a dummy event. We didn't want all our recruiters to get information about this
That's it.
event.
Try to keep it simple. But yeah, so again, don't overthink it. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. It's a matter of registering for the event, preparing yourself by doing your background, doing your research, right? Getting yourself all set and ready to go. So you've got a list of questions, knowing who you want to talk to. As a recruiter, I come from a recruiter's background. One of the worst things that I hated the most as a recruiter is when I'm at an event, the candidate walks up to me and they says, "So who are you? What are you recruiting for?" Because now I got to give that whole spiel about what I'm recruiting for. And we're cutting time into when we could have had an actual conversation. If you did your research and said, "Hey, I saw that you're looking for a data analyst. I've actually got this, this, and this in my background. I think I could be a great fit." I'm like, "Oh, really? Well, tell me more. Tell me about why you think you're a great fit." You see how now in 2 seconds, we just took a whole new conversation into what type of role you're looking for and what I actually have available. You did all that background research, makes my life so much easier. You're a much more appealing candidate now. So I think that help will be very, very beneficial for you. So again, just do your background research before you go into that event.
And a couple other points I just want to make. I have not allowed relaunchers to chat in multiple booths at the same time. So you are only chatting with one sponsor at a time. And I don't know if you want to talk about, you won't be pulled out of the chat if you connect. Brazen won't allow you to connect with a different recruiter if you're already chatting, except for if you do have a scheduled chat with a recruiter, make sure you don't get into another chat about, I don't know, Nick and David, 10 minutes before that scheduled chat, because you will miss that scheduled chat. And that is important to attend if a recruiter has reached out to you.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to go about that. That scheduled chat, as far as you are concerned as a candidate, you'll set those schedules before the event starts. And as we're talking here, I'm going to kind of show you what that'll look like, and I'll try to demonstrate that. But when you show up on event day, don't worry about those scheduled chats. I want you to go in and go into every single booth, put yourself in line to chat. I'm going to leave this booth now. Oops, and I didn't mean to connect with that same recruiter again. Let me end this chat. Sorry, that was a bad example. Let me close out this chat. Perfect. Finished. Okay, yeah, so go into each booth that you're interested in chatting with. Click that chat button, put yourself in line so you can chat. Come out, now we're gonna go to another booth. We're also gonna get in line to chat. This way, now I'm in line in multiple booths. This gives me an opportunity to be connected to whichever recruiter comes first. I don't want to spend 30 minutes waiting for someone from Goldman Sachs when I could have already been talking to somebody from Lockheed Martin. So you can get in line in multiple booths. But what will happen is if I'm talking to somebody from Lockheed Martin and now Goldman Sachs recruiter becomes available, they'll go on to that next candidate until you are done with your chat. Once you're done with this chat, you'll then be ready to chat with that person from Goldman Sachs. So it kind of will go in that order. If I have a scheduled chat, a recruiter scheduled a chat with me at 10 a.m., but at 9:55, I started a conversation with Lockheed Martin, you'll actually be able to have 2 chats at a time. You'll have your conversation with Lockheed Martin and that scheduled chat with whatever recruiter scheduled that time with you. So you'll actually be able to manage both chats. And basically what you'll do is on the left-hand side, you'll see both the recruiters' names, and you can just toggle back and forth in between each recruiter. So
Even if I didn't allow that in the event, David, they can still chat with.
Yes, ma'am. So
okay.
scheduled
was
chat
wrong,
will
everyone.
always be in addition to whatever regular chat that they're having. Yep.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't stress about the scheduled chats. They'll automatically appear when they're scheduled, so you don't have to do anything on your end. Yeah.
David, we did get a few questions just regarding the greeting that they can set up. So obviously, as mentioned, and to your point, they'll set up that greeting kind of when they can first go in. They can make updates to that greeting accordingly, correct? Was that?
Yeah. So basically, I'll see if I can try to demo that. 1 second. Click finish. When you go into that booth to chat with that representative, I'm not sure if it'll let me reconnect to that computer. Yes, it will. There we go. So as I come back in here, you go to greetings on that top right left-hand corner. When you hit edit, we're going to add our greeting. Once you hit save, that greeting will now be saved for every time. So now, if I go into a new booth and I'm like, I kind of want to tweak that greeting a little bit. Once you go into a new booth, come right back up to edit, and you'll actually be able to edit that greeting that you had already saved. But again, we don't want to say, I've always wanted to work at Bank of America, because as you go into another booth, it'll say, I've always wanted to work at Bank of America. So just keep that as general as possible. But anytime you're in a booth, click that edit button, and you can tweak that greeting. Or if you want to delete it, just make sure you delete that text, hit save. That way now there is no greeting that will be sent out. Yeah. All right, I did see that question on scheduled chat. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that as well. Let me close this out. So we're gonna hit finished. All right, I'm actually gonna set up a scheduled chat, and I'm gonna show you what you're gonna receive on your end. Registrants. Okay, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to show you another screen here. Share. All right, so we're looking at another screen here. You're going to receive an email, and it's going to look something just like this, where it says, David from Bank of America is inviting you to a scheduled chat. So you'll receive this email. It'll have Bank of America's logo on it, and it's basically going to be a generic email that'll look something like this. These recruiters do have the ability to customize this email if they want to, but it's going to say something along the lines of, I personally would like to invite you to schedule time to chat with me during the event, blah, 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 blah. Your goal here, what you're going to want to do is come in here and simply just hit schedule your chat. From here, and I hope it doesn't run into issues. Perfect. So from here, you're going to come in, and it's actually going to let you schedule that chat. And I think I'm going to have an issue here. Sorry, I have about 6 different windows open. But what it'll do is it's going to pull up this representative's schedule. And what your job will be is you're going to find any time slot that's available, and you're just going to select that specific time. Once you select that specific time, you hit save, and then you can close it all out, and that's all that you'll need to do. And you won't need to do anything else. Just remember what your schedule looks like. This way, on event day, you'll remember when those scheduled chats will happen. Those scheduled chats will automatically pop up on your screen without you having to do anything. So you're just coming in here and selecting what time works best for you. Then as we come back into your event here, you'll then be able to have that chat. So hopefully that helped a little bit. So just be on the lookout for that email. Again, you may or may not receive emails. That's kind of up to the representatives to send out those emails. Some organizations love it and they'll use it all the time. Other organizations may not use it. So it's totally up to them. But if there's an organization you know you want to speak with, just make sure you hop into their booth on event day. Perfect. Any other questions? Anything else we can do to help you or show you while we're here?
This is fabulous. And just so everybody knows, this is being recorded. We are going to put it in your iRelaunch booth, or your iRelaunch account, I should say. Maybe one of my colleagues can post their sign into the iRelaunch account. You will find this. You will find the video there. You can review the video before the conference. And if you have any questions, you can always ask us at info@irelaunch.com, and we will answer your questions. But as David said, try not to be nervous. I know it's always nervous using a new tech platform, but kudos to you for coming to the event and using the platform. That's a win right there. So anything we can do to help ease any of your nerves, we are here for you. I'm seeing a couple more messages coming in.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Madeline, I saw your question in regards to the logistics between toggling between two different booth chats. Let me see if I can show you what that'll look like.
And just to confirm, the only time you would have two booth or two chats would be if you had a scheduled chat that coincided with a more organic chat that you had. So Sarah confirmed, on the back end that you are in terms of more organic chats where you're going into the booth, you can only have one at a time.
Yeah, so naturally, you're only going to see one name over here. So here we're talking to Mr. David Jensen. He's our recruiter. If you happen to have a scheduled chat going on at the exact same time as your booth chat, what'll happen is whoever, I don't know, let's just say Tom Brady is our other recruiter, his name will appear down here below. And then what you'll do is you'll just toggle back and forth. So as David Jensen's talking to you, your chat window is here. When Tom Brady sends you a message, it'll flash orange. So his name and information will flash orange. That way I'm like, oh, okay, Tom Brady sent me a message. I can jump back over to Tom Brady's booth, and now I'm having that conversation right here in the center. So it's all done from the same window. So it's really easy in front and center. The only thing that I encourage you to do is, again, keep an eye on that time. What we don't want is for Mr. David Jensen to send me a message, but I'm so busy talking to Tom Brady, I forget to reply back to David Jensen. So, you just want to be conscious of that time. Some things that you can do is keep in mind, what does your scheduled chat look like? Do you have scheduled chats at 10 o'clock and then at 11 o'clock? Then maybe what I will do is make sure I am not in line to chat with anybody during those scheduled chat times. That way I'm not overwhelming myself and having too many chats at a time. I would so much rather you talk to one person at a time and have a very productive 10 minutes than talk to two people in 10 minutes, but you only got to have half a conversation. We want you to take as much away from that conversation as you can. So, yeah, time management.
And I think just to add to, Sarah's point, going into those conversations, knowing what you want to say to the organization, why you want to work for them, just doing that preparation work before is just so crucial. And, ultimately, as Sarah shared, that's what the employers want.
And just to clarify, if you can't see the event lobby right now, you might not be registered for the Brazen event. For our event, we have you purchase your ticket on one platform and then fill out your conference profile or conference registration on another platform. I just posted the event link in the chat. So anybody who has not registered on Brazen and filled out their conference profile, do it now. You won't see days 1 and 2. We will send you those links on May 13th. So don't worry about days 1 and 2. Those are only content delivery days. So on those days, you will hear Carol talk about her keynote. You will hear some employer panelists talk about their programs. You will hear from our coaches. You will hear and assessing your career options. So those are content delivery. The one that I really want you to register for is May 16th. That has the long list of registration questions. And again, register now. If you need to edit it, go back and edit it. That's okay. I send the sponsors a list of all the registrants about a week before. So they'll get your most edited registration information, unless they're in there now and downloading things. But it's okay to go in and change your registration information. Don't make that be a barrier to not filling it out.
Awesome. Let's see. I wanted to go through some of the questions here. If you don't get a chance to chat with the employer, that's a really, really good question, right? Because it's a very busy event. You're going to be talking to a lot of people, but there's going to be something that you just don't get to chat with. We showed you how you can actually connect with that organization via LinkedIn or the social media handles, so don't hesitate to do that. Best practice, go ahead and connect with every single representative on LinkedIn, right? That way you've got their information and you can still connect with them offline. But highly encourage you to do that. Inside their booths, you'll actually have been able to drop off your information with that organization as well. So if we come back here, let's just show our Bank of America booth. We come in here, you're gonna see on the right-hand side, there is a can't chat right now, leave a note. you can simply click that box, send your message, and whatever message you type, when you click send, your profile with your resume and your notes will be sent to whatever email address this organization links to this. So it's a great way to drop off information. What I would encourage you to do is when you've got 10, 15 minutes left in your event, if there's still quite a few people you haven't chatted with, come in and just drop off a note. Hey, I didn't get to chat with you. The event went pretty quick, but I'd love some more information. Shoot them a quick note. Do that in 3 or 4 different booths. That way you have an opportunity for them to follow up with you after the event as well. So you've got that option just to do that. I will call out some booths may not have this feature. It is up to the employer to set this up. So if you go into a booth and they don't have that listed, you're not going to be able to do so. But if they do have it in there, you'll be good to go. Another thing that I always see that can be an issue. We want you to go to the event early, right? Log in 5-10 minutes before the event starts. That way we don't have any issues. However, keep in mind that green chat button will not be there until the event actually starts. So let's say the event starts at 12 o'clock. If it's 12:01, 12:02, and you don't see that chat button, just go to the browser at the top, refresh your screen. And what that'll do is kind of catch the system up, and now you'll see that chat button. So don't sit there for 20 minutes not wondering why you don't see the chat. Just refresh your screen and you'll be good. Awesome.
Is there a preferred medium, video, chat, or chat box only? I think it's whatever you prefer, Madeline. I mean, so I have to say, some of the banks that participate, they're just not allowed to chat on video. They have firewalls. So don't think because they're not inviting you to a video chat, they don't want to. They can't. They're not allowed to. They can't use Zoom. So a text-based chat is a great way to talk with a sponsor. Have some questions in mind that you want to ask the sponsor. Have some snippets written out that you could easily copy and paste into a text-based chat. But a lot can be discussed in 10 minutes.
And I'll add to that too. As a recruiter, I never had a 10-minute conversation, then hired the individual, right? There's always going to be follow-on conversations. So you are interviewing these employers just as much as they are interviewing you. Make sure this is an employer that you want to work for. You don't want to get a job offer, then you get there and realize, oh my gosh, this company is terrible, right? So you want to interview that company just as much as they're interviewing you. And then from there, you'll have some more follow-on conversations. So your job is to decide, are they hiring for what I'm looking for? Is this the place I want to work? Let me get some contact information so we can continue this conversation. There's nothing worse than ending a conversation and you have no idea who to reach out to after that event is done. So if you kind of hit those milestones, you had a very successful event, and that'll lead to future conversations, which will lead to job offers and interviews. So,
David, one question came in that actually I have a question about,
sure.
And then we do have to let David and Nick go to their next meeting. But for the booth chats, as David said, your information is in there for 18 months, and then Brazen does a refresh and deletes all the information for security reasons. But how long, if the leave a note function is in there, can you leave a note for 18 months? I mean, after the event is over?
That's a really good question. I believe you will still be able to go in and drop off a note as long as that feature's there. I've never actually looked at it from a candidate's perspective.
Yeah.
So I imagine if you go in there a week after the event, you won't be able to chat with anybody, but you should be able to drop off a note for sure.
Excellent. All right, well, we do have to say goodbye to Nick and David. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, this is recorded, and we will post it in your iRelaunch account. I posted the link to your iRelaunch account in the chat. I can post it again if anybody needs it. Thank you, Nick and David. We appreciate your time. And just everybody know that we're here to support you. We will get through this together. And if you have any questions for iRelaunch, write us at info@irelaunch.com. And remember, Carol is doing a Zoom session a week before the conference. A lot of these sponsor questions can be directed at Carol. today's session was really about how to use the Brazen platform. So just note, you still have time. Get in the Facebook group and ask questions there. Find people to talk with who are also going through this process. Anything we can do to help you in your career relaunch, we're going to do. So until we meet again, thank you all for attending and have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.